up here. I'm hoping both cameras are good to go. We'll keep building our kits. I'm just going to glue all these together. I think I've done them right. Famous last words. We've got a couple. Actually, got a bigger kit to build as well. So we've got a big kit to build whilst we're chatting. I've got about half an hour, so I haven't got too long. But let's get some of this stuff done and chat mental health / hobbies, which is very important. A couple of people were interested in before in chatting about it. So why not? Why not bring up the mental health chat? I probably should put in the comments or something what my X role was, because YouTube is doing a better job now of getting more people involved. And I guess once they see that I'm building a model kit and they've come to talk mental health, it might throw them off, but we'll sort that out later. So let's get some of this going, make sure some people are joining. Hello. TikTok, hello TikTok. And we've got YouTube as well. If you are joining, we are talking mental health whilst we are building some kits. I did go live earlier, but we had to change location because it's a little bit hard for me to read the comments and get involved. I can still see. I can see. It's all right. So whilst I get all this going, how is everyone's day? We've got about half an hour, I'd say max, about half an hour to chat. On TikTok, if you do want to jump in, you can come in with a voice and you can actually talk via voice if you want to raise an issue or concern. For TikTok, I know YouTube has watched before, but if you are watching on TikTok, I'm an ex-officer who has PTSD, and I'm taking it upon myself to start doing some social media stuff around PTSD and the police force and what it looks like after the fact and what needs to change. Not just that, if you are a man, this is a good place, and a female, but I can't speak on behalf of the females because, of course, I'm male. But if you want to raise any issue, something, or if you want to share, I guess, assistance on how you cope with mental health, some of your coping mechanisms, because it's more about you guys than it is about me, but it is good to share people's coping mechanisms because, let's face it, mental health at the moment is massive. And I don't think enough men, Rapunzel, I can't read your name, but hello ZB, welcome YouTube. So we've got YouTube and we've got TikTok running. So again, guys, something new that I'm doing. I'll be doing some hobby stuff whilst talking about mental health. And if there's anything you want to know about police force in Australia, please ask. I've only recently retired from the police force. So I guess I should say my reason for doing this is to make it better for the police officers. And when they're leaving the police force, they need more assistance. And that's, I think, my new venture for 2025, 2026 is to make a big impact and change there at the same time of raising the awareness where we should be able to talk about it. We should be able to talk about this stuff. You know, everyone struggles every day. And more I see on social media, people struggling. About mental health and help each other. It might sound a bit huggy, kissy, but it needs to happen. I've lost a lot of friends to it, a lot of members in the police. Unfortunately, I was almost a number as well, and I think now's the right time to start speaking up about it and make a bit more creative with my social media platforms than just hobbies. So if you want to come along on the adventure, if you want to share some of your insights, that'd be great. Who we got on board? Hello, Tashin. Hello. What are we building? We are building, whilst we are chatting, a Marlborough and a camel. I'll be doing, just instead of me sitting here talking, I'll be doing some stuff, and hope you guys got something going on, and I'll give you tips and hints on how I'm dealing with mental health and how I go day by day, and hopefully my insights will then inspire you to talk about yours, whether it's with me or somebody else, a professional. That's the goal. I think it's time. I'm just getting messages. Sorry. I am building the mag racing service station. All the planning and painting keeps. Yes. Oh, B-Rads. Actually, I'm going to reach out. Magnetic Racing reached out to me the other day, so I might see if. I think building kits. And hello, TikTok. I hope you guys are doing well. Again, if you do want to jump on board, please jump on board. Bo and Coins, hello, mates. Thanks for the comment. If you do want to jump on board, TikTok is easy to me here. So if you do want to jump on and have your say. But yes, definitely hobbies. So let's talk hobbies first with mental health. I started my channel around mental health. I was really struggling as a police officer. And starting to do hobbies really allowed me to, I guess, escape. That's the word probably for the day. Mental health practitioner or a friggin' or is who's going through it, and I'm just going to give you my advice, or what I'm going through, and hopefully that helps you. I was as of the start of this year, I got tested again. Yes, you've got to be tested all the time. It's friggin' crazy that you've got to keep proving yourself. And I was, unfortunately, I scored a pretty high score when it came to my mental health capacity. Yes, I look fine right now. I'm happy. I think we all are. I think we all can still be happy. I guess you could say there's a bit of a black flag around. Oh, he looks happy. I mean, I call it the Robbie Williams syndrome. The happiest person in the room isn't always happy, and that's exactly what it is. Sometimes, use, I guess you would say, comedy. Would you use comedy, or would you use banter, or what are the key words are to make it appear that you're well? And sometimes you can't. You're not mentally depressed every single day. So hobbies is the first thing I want to talk about. That's why I do what I'm doing right now. Like everyone else, I guess we all find it hard to get up day to day. And if this is something that you look forward to getting up and doing, and I'm going to say this, if you look at the studies, a lot of very smart professionals out there suffer heavily with depression, mental health, but they still achieve a lot of stuff. And I think because they get stuck into their work, which is their savior, is why they do some very incredible things. Even being the capacity of the mental illness is stronger than what their capacity is to live, they still get some really good stuff done. So remember that you can always still do what you want to do daily. You just got to get it done. Let me read some of these questions. The small business with jail blasters, war zone skirmish. It was the best mental physical ground I've ever seen. Teams with you, mate. They changed the law, so we couldn't use them. Okay, gotcha. In South Australia, gotcha. So in saying that, I mean, my mate last week, she was fresh married and looked happy, but still left us. It is, and if anyone is watching, if this is a trigger, please don't watch. But I'll be as raw as I can and as real as I can, because I'm going to swear a couple of times, because unfortunately I still think there's a lot of bullshit around this where people don't really get the real picture out there. I mean, it's massive. Mental health is huge. And this reading that then, she was the happiest person in the world and now she's left us. It's devastating. It is devastating. Ooh, it is devastating. It really, really is. And the question here is, what help was there for her? I won't get too far into my personal life when it comes to like family, because we have lost family to mental health. Again, I won't get too far into that because it's not here for. But what I will say is, it is sometimes some people, that much in pain that it's a lot easier for them to walk away from it all than to continue trying. And as sad and as devastating as it sounds, sometimes the pain for them is too great. And I don't understand that, because I do to an extent. I've been on that edge where I may have not come back, but luckily, I did the right things. I moved to Europe the first time. A lot of people ask me why I moved to Europe in 2022, 2023, and that was due to mental health. I was struggling really bad, and I could not be in Australia without support from my family. So that was one decision I made. Financially, it was killing, and I'm going to say here, never worry about money. Yes, we need to live. I'm not rich. It's cost me a lot of money to move here twice, both for mental health reasons. But you've got to make sure you're okay first. So that was the reason. There is a couple of rumors out there why I did move to Austria. I heard some recently. I'm not going to get into that, but there is some rumors out there that I did move for different reasons. But I can assure you, it's definitely not. Some people know what I'm talking about, some don't. But realistically, it is sad. It's an invisible disease that you don't know. And I'm going to say this right now whilst I read some messages. Hi, paintball is near me. Oh, there you go, slots. There you go. So to touch on. Yeah, because it's the first time I've done this, and I do want to do this more often. My goal is, if you do want to follow me, I will try and start a proper social network around this, away from the hobby stuff, just so I can keep it separate. Some people don't want to listen to this stuff, and I fully understand. But I would encourage people to, if you could follow me on those socials when I do start them, that'd be great, because the bigger the voice, the bigger the healing. And that's back to front. That's back to front. So a bit of background about me. I joined the police force in 2010. I don't come from a rich family. I come from a very normal family. I moved a lot when I was younger. We were very poor. Quick background, I'm not, feel sorry for me, none of that kind of stuff. But I'm pretty grounded. I'm a pretty grounded person. I don't come from wealth, which doesn't matter. A lot of mental health is part of wealth, to be honest. A lot of the people I did help in the police force did come from a lot of money, and a lot of that has its own pressures. So it does have nothing to do with money, but this is the background, just so you know where I come from, so you know I'm a real person. I joined the police force when I was 27. I didn't finish school. I was very bad at school. I was pretty poor at school, to be honest. I wasn't the greatest student. And then fell in love with the police force. Did close to 13 years, did everything from, I guess you can say, special roles. When it comes to high-risk offenders, all that kind of stuff, some of the really cool stuff. I did everything that you could think of in the police force that you'd think police officers would do, and I saw a lot of stuff that obviously why I'm doing this now, because it did affect me. It did affect me, and it changed a lot of how I thought. It changed me mentally, which, if you knew me prior to going sick, I was a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. I am still that same person, but physically you change with mental health, and depending on what your issue is, which is going to be different to mine, everyone has their issues, and this is the key thing I want people to take away from today's chat. Remember, the person that you're sitting next to on a bus, or even a close friend, everyone has something going on. Whether it's mental health or not, everyone has something going on in their life, and no one will walk this life without an issue. And that is the most truest thing over here, because we all will go. Whether it's big or small to you or I, it's big or small to that person. And that's one thing I learned from the police force. I'll use an example here. You could have somebody, and that is the worst thing that's ever happened to them, the worst thing. And they will treat that as almost like a death. And you've got to understand, that's the worst thing that they've ever been through. So that is going to be a trigger for them that forever is something they're going to remember, that happened to them and they can't believe it. But to you or I, who have, that might think that's a minor thing, that's the difference between mental health. Everybody will go through different things, and they'll rate that differently. So what I've been through, if I told you some of the stuff, which I will, you might think, how the friggin' hell did you do all that? Where you might hear another story and go, why are you even worried? That is just how mental health works. So always remember, the person beside you is definitely going through something, whether it's big or small to you, it is something that they are concerned about. So just keep that in mind. Mental health can be very selfish, meaning it's all about me, my problem, my this. No, it's not, because everyone else is struggling, but it is also your own problem, which, yes, you can be selfish to a limit, but remember, people around you are struggling. It's more evident now than it ever was, because we are starting conversations more often than not, compared to 20 years ago, where if you have mental health, you're told to go to the pub, have a beer, and get over it. Of course, I'm talking directly to men here. If there is a female watching, I understand that they go through mental health. Of course they do, but I'm not a woman. I can't give you, hopefully my advice helps and my story helps, but I can't tell you what to do, because, I'm a male. I think I know what men go through. So remember that. We had airsoft pellet. SLOTCARS don't care how old you are. Turn 60 back to 20 years. Yeah. Let me see if there's anyone here. David, nice. Followed. Follow. Got it. Have a great night. We'll pop in later if you're still on. See you, mate. Thank you for watching. The Resilience Project is a very good book. Oh, excellent. All right. We'll take a look at that. I'm trying to ones I don't think anyone knows she needs help. And that's the problem. And it's not a problem. It is a social issue where you don't know how to ask for help, or maybe they have. And that was a question on TikTok, a message there. Unfortunately, a young lady lost her life, and she appeared to be happy. And that's sort of a bit of a trend we're going to see with, I think, a lot of stories that we're going to talk about over this journey together, where we try and get to the bottom of, how do we help each other in this situation. To put that into context into what I'm going through, and this is a bit of how I guess I'm talk about mental health, to see if I can relate to something or put into context on what I'm going through, so you guys can do this with your issues, put it, how it affects you, and how does that work? Why did this person not ask for help? Well, firstly, they probably did in slight little remarks, or were they in on? That's one thing I'm still bad at, messaging a mate saying, how are you? Love you, buddy. Hope you're well. Just the general chit chat, check in. There's a lot of people I wish I can check in on these days, which I couldn't, because they're not here anymore. And secondly, I have to get better at doing that. So that's a bit of a stigma as well. We're all too busy just to check in on each other. That's probably the first thing. Check in on someone. Even after this video today, if you've watched me today, and there's someone you're thinking about going, I hope they're all right, just send them a message. Just freaking send them a message. Hey, how are you? I hope you're well. And you never know. You never know. Secondly, asking for help sometimes, and I'll use me now as an example, I was screaming for help. When I went off sick in 2022 with the police force, I was freaking screaming for help, to the point where I was trying to give out ideas on how to get me help. And unfortunately, it fell on deaf ears, to the point where the unfortunate thing, when mental health becomes a problem in the workforce, it becomes a problem with work production. And as soon as that your seat can be filled, and I'm not dirty on this, I'm just using this as an example of, did someone ask for help, or why didn't they? Some people do, including me, and it just gets swept aside, because unfortunately helping someone might take time. And this is the issue I'm trying to fix within the police force, is if the time was taken, would that person be fixed? And in my instance, I would say I would have had a better chance on getting better help sooner than doing it cold turkey like I have been for the last 2 years. So that person probably did ask for help, or could have asked for help, but has before, and it was just dropped, left on dead ears, which is very sad. And I can speak on behalf that has happened to me. Shared the live. Thank you for sharing the live, mate. Thanks for the follow, guys. We are talking mental health, so if anyone wants to chime in, if they're TikTok, thank you guys for sharing all that. I do appreciate it. We do have about 25 minutes, guys. Let me quickly check. Hello, Tho. Hello. Are you? Yes. I know you guys are going to get sick of me saying this, but hit that like button. This man is giving us all 2 for 1. No, mate, you don't have to do that. I do appreciate it. Actually, if I'm honest, this is the kind of content that I want to go big, because I've sat back and I've had enough. This has been 3 years now, and I've sat back and just watched mental health for males decline. I'm going to say decline, because I haven't seen any change on where I came from. Which I'm still in touch with, police members, and it's freaking disgusting. Like, we're losing too many brothers, and of course sisters. We had a story over here on TikTok that a young lady unfortunately was happy as Larry, but appeared happy but wasn't, and is not with us, and it's freaking sad. It's no one should have to go through this alone. I'm going to quickly talk about some of the stuff that I went through for help, because it didn't work for me, and I don't want to say don't copy me, because it may work for you. So my first venture into the mental health part, when I finally put my hand up and said I need help, so I took some time off, and I was screaming for help, to the point where tears were daily. And I don't want anyone to feel sorry. This is not a feel sorry thing. I'm just putting my story out there, because it is pretty raw. It needs to. Where was I going with that? And I did get put onto some mental health workers. An issue I had with that was the issue with the mental health side of things, trying to find if this works for you, please do it. And try all of this. You should try everything I'm talking about, because you don't know if it's going to work unless you try. And there's still some things that I haven't tried yet, so I'll continue. That's a disclaimer. So I did get given some mental health workers, very nice people. Some of them I felt were too textbook. We're talking from the text. I can't relate with that. If I want you to talk to me, I want to know that there's been some experience there. and I want to understand that you kind of have an idea of what I'm going through. I don't care if you've been through it. I prefer you to been through it, because if you've been through it, you're now talking my language. But don't talk to me like it's a textbook, because unfortunately, the traditional way of dealing with mental health, in my opinion, doesn't fit everyone. It doesn't. It's not designed to fit every person. It's designed to capture, in my opinion, enough people to make a change, but it doesn't help everyone. So I tried numerous mental health workers. I had some really good ones. I had some one is Marlboro. Let's do a quick little product here. We're doing a Marlboro sign, and we're also doing a camel. I'm a huge race fan. I love racing. I love cars. I love toys. So I'm going to join them both together and talk mental health and build some kits. What are we building right now? I'm going to hide this code so I don't get in trouble. We are building a 3-tiered display with my logo on it. This is not a sales pitch. No one has to buy this. It's just something I had in my kit. It's got my own logo on it, and I'm just building this whilst we are talking mental health. And I'm going to get some car kits and build some car kits at the same time. This is muted and I could not hear. I completely apologize if my asking muted your stream. Is it muted? Let me just quickly take this out. Hold on. Let me know, YouTube, if you've got me on mic or not. Let's see. Thank you for the gifts, guys. So let's continue with the mental health side of things. I can't remember where I was. I needed to keep a log going. Apologies. And I took a quick check to see if my wife has finished work or not. Okay. She's not ready for work. Good. Excellent. You can hear me? You can hear me? No, it's okay now. Okay, sweet. I was a television cameraman for ABC News during 9/11 for the first to Japan in 2017. I just stopped having nightmares about 9/11. Sometimes you have to know when it's time to leave. That's raw. I haven't. So that is really raw. Thank you, mate. What was your name? Harris. Thank you, mate. I really do appreciate you sharing that. And this is what I mean about mental health. It comes in different. Enough fun on it, but let's not get too serious. But experiencing that. And still to this day, having nightmares about it, which I understand the nightmare side of thing. I use it as a role, I think, to join the dots with what you're just saying. And for those that are joining now, I'm an ex-police officer, so a lot of my stuff is around trauma, and I've do a lot. And I put it down to my life at the moment is like a Rolodex. So the way my flashbacks, I think you'll call it, happens is via Rolodex. I would just go through a lot of stuff that I've seen, dead bodies, jobs I've been to, all that kind of stuff. I would just Rolodex daily, and it just does its own thing. So I'm used to it now. You can get used to doing that, but that's how I think how I manage. And some things. I mean, I'm guessing the big thing. You would get a reminder of that, I guess, nearly every year now, because it happens, or memorial every year. And I'm going to use this bluntly with why I don't, and some people probably are wondering why I don't use a mental health practitioner. It's almost like a victim of a serious crime, and you're asking them to tell you about it time and time again. This is something that I did not do in the police force. I would not let a victim tell me, consistently what happened. I'll get the story and the facts straight as quick as I can, and then leave it alone. Let the professional talk about it. One thing I've found is if there's reminders, it doesn't always heal. And I try not to talk about it in that instance. I'm now openly talking about what I went through because it helps me this way. But speaking with a practitioner who openly wants to just open that book every single minute and talk about it did not work for me. And I guess the 9/11 thing in your instance would be a reminder every year. So I'll probably ask you a question. Scott, hello. Hello. We are talking a little bit of mental health today, guys. Whilst we're trying to build some stuff. It's a very bad weather day today. You explained your tool and I couldn't hear it. Now I'm back. Okay, sorry. So the tool, we are using a work zone knife. So from Aldi, just a standard work zone, heaps of different pieces. You unscrew the top and you put the blade in. Very, very cool. We've got TikTok running as well. We are talking mental health whilst building some model kits. So yeah, that's why I didn't use a mental health practitioner, because it felt like I was opening up the wound too often when I didn't really want to. So I guess that's probably the same with you, mate, when it comes to the Memorial Day every year of I guess you could say 9/11. You'll be reminded about that regularly, which is good. I think if it's on your terms, which is what I'm doing right now, it's healthy. That's but if it's not on terms and people are opening that Pandora's box just for the sake of it, I don't think that's healthy. Hence why I don't speak to a psychiatrist at the moment. If I need to, I will. Not saying that I've never called helpline. Yes, I've used helpline a lot, especially in Australia. It's a bit harder here in Europe because I don't speak the language. But when I was struggling in Australia, I would definitely jump on, one of the helplines and just vent, get some assistance. It was just a beautiful little cuddle across the phone, and that really did help. So that is definitely something I used. So talking to police force, some of the stuff that I deal with, if you are, joining and we're talking mental health, a lot of my trauma is from bodies, which I won't go into too much detail, but if you can think it, we've seen it. And I think, that is Rolodex before of how I live my day to day. Some stuff reminds me about it regularly. I do monitor what I watch on TV. Definitely monitor what I watch on TV. I don't watch what I use on TV. I know my limits. Video games aren't too bad. I have played some that, are pretty violent, and that's okay. For whatever reason, that's not a real problem. It's more when it's realistic. It's something that I just monitor. I just make sure I don't watch it if I can't at the time. I'm not saying I can't watch it. It's just I know when to not engage with that kind of stuff. So let me see if I've got this video right. My father was a local police officer for 32 years. I heard crack helps with mental health. No, it doesn't, mate. It doesn't. I heard crack helps with mental health. No, what a wanker. Hello, Brendan. Hello, mate. Hope you're well. My father was a local police officer for 32 years. He is still current PA employee for 51 years. I've heard thousands of his stories. And, look, some of them couldn't continue volunteering with my local fire department. I feel guilty, but no. So that's right. Mate, you've raised a good point there. I wouldn't feel guilty. If you don't want to see that stuff, you don't have to. That's definitely a choice that you've got. A lot of people who do the live, I guess, thanks for the follow. We've got TikTok running as well. Sorry, guys. A lot of the people that do frontline work, I guess, once they've had enough of seeing what they've seen, they then stop. It's completely relevant. Like, you don't have to. There's definitely no one saying that you have to, wear the same shoes, because even now, like I just said, then I monitor what I do now. But yeah, the stories that I will be sharing, definitely will be sharing in the future. Definitely will be sharing a lot of my stories, because some of it's very interesting. I've been lucky to be a part of a lot of really good stuff. But the mental health side of it is what I'm trying to fix 2025, 2026. So police force, person who joined before, who was asking questions about he's got a family member who's joined and trying to talk them out of joining the police force. I definitely wouldn't say don't talk anybody out of it, because you'll never know unless you try. The issue I do have with Australia at the moment is the help that you get after it. What is the support? And at the moment, it's pretty much stuff all. So that is my goal for 2025, 2026, to try and make a little bit of a change there, because enough's enough. I've seen too many members lose their lives, take their lives, and it's one of those things now that I was a part of that So let's change that. Let me just quickly get this one in and see if there's any questions. My cousin passed away really young from a car crash on Phillip Island. So that is that's a hard thing. I look at those. I'm looking at this now as in, I guess, unfortunately and fortunately, being a police officer, you kind of take a lot of detail out of everything. And there's two kind of traumas that I'm looking at researching at the moment: is sudden trauma and trauma that is coming. So I guess to use my mother as an example, she unfortunately passed away from cancer in 2015, but we watched her decline. And at the end of it, which this is going to sound really, really bad, at the end of it, I was relieved in a sense that she was no longer, fighting cancer. She had passed. And that's a trauma that I deal with differently. Cancer is, of course, a world problem. We know that. Everyone knows this. But with that kind of trauma, it was expected for her to pass away. And I think I had time to deal with that at the time, as well as, seeing her deteriorate wasn't great. Of course not. But also knowing that it was coming. The trauma of the instant trauma of someone passing away in a car accident that shouldn't be dead or passed away. Sorry, I shouldn't use that word. That is definitely PTSD syndrome that you'd have to manage, because it's unexpected, and that's probably the most I could say about PTSD that I've learned. It's a lot of the stuff that I struggle with is the unexpected stuff, the stuff that you didn't think were going to happen, or you've sort of come across it. It's not something that you knew was going to happen at the time, and that's the stuff that I struggle with now. The stuff I struggle with moving forward with PTSD, and the reason I'm explaining is a lot of people I think it's fake. The world I live in now is I'm not sure of how sure I am of the world itself, and what I mean by that is I know it's not safe. Like, we all know the world is crazy, but the amount of stuff that I've seen that's random and happened randomly, it puts a bit of a stigma in your mind that you're not safe, and you start thinking the worst can happen at any time. And that's the part of the PTSD that I'm working on now. Is, I might be happy on camera, I'm happy, a good chunk of the day, but there is a time where I sit back and go, you start stressing out because you don't know what's around the corner, and what can be around the corner. I'm trying to explain PTSD properly. And that's what I struggle with. That's what I'm trying to deal with now. People with PTSD deal with that. Employee was meant to be, couldn't continue volunteering with my, okay. Thanks for the call out. Today I've got 6 F1 Baragos. Good, nice work, brother. Nice work on the Baragos. They're a good looking car. If there's anyone else in the TikTok that wants to share a story, don't get too, what's the word I'm trying to look for? I can't think right now. Give me 2 seconds. When I start talking about this stuff, this is where you'll see a lot of what I go through come into play a bit, because I do get flustered once I start talking about this stuff, which I want to talk about this stuff, but I do start losing a bit of track. So bear with me if I do go off rails a little bit, because I am cycling through a lot of stuff at the time of trying to give me 2 seconds just to get my thoughts. And this is a key problem with what I go with daily. I get a bit of an overload where I'll talk my way around a tick, I will get it, but I've sort of hit a bit of a speed bump right now, trying to think of the next thing I wanted to say without fumbling. So we will get to it. So whilst I'm thinking about that and get my head right, we have a 3-post gantry by Magnetic Racing. These were sent to me many, many years ago when I was in Europe, I think, the first time, and now we're getting around to building them because they were in a box that got sent back to me from Australia, and it's looking good. OLED, hello mates. What else we got today? Thanks, Ben, for the follow. So we are talking men's mental health. We are talking all things mental health, whilst we are building some kits. So we have built a couple of things here. We have got our gantries our signages that have just been built. We're doing camel and the beautiful Marlborough. So we've got camel, we've got Marlborough. We are building these whilst we're having a chat about mental health, raising awareness as we go. and I'm just sharing some insight into PTSD, my struggles, and hopefully people in the chat can get involved and help with what they are going through. I think everyone who puts a bit in gets a bit out. So now my goal, I'm going to get back to my goals, what we're talking about. So the police I left in 2022, 2023. I retired out sick, jumping through hoops. If I'm quite honest, I shouldn't have that early. I should have had help. And this is what I'm trying to change, because I'm already speaking to members now who reach out to me regularly, who are struggling in Melbourne, Australia. Keep in mind, I am located in Austria, and I am helping them at the moment through their traversal through the mental health struggles within a organisation like the police force, and I'm talking directly with Melbourne, Australia, the Victorian Police Force, and I'm sort of giving them, I guess, ideas on how they should be tackling it and the support that they need, which they should be getting from the police force themselves. So unfortunately, I guess you can use the word jump ship, which is what we use in Australia. I did leave the police force, I'm going to say unwillingly, because I wasn't getting the help and I ran out of time, meaning if I kept going down the same path, I would have ran out of time officially, if you know what that means. Not going to use the word. Or I would have just been, I guess you can say shelved, put away as a problem, which is happening. I was more of a problem than I was a help. So my goal is to, I guess, in hindsight, give the police force a little bit of a push, saying, hey, something needs to change. Secondly, I never raise an issue without some kind of resolution. And that's one thing I learned as a sergeant. If you come to me with an issue, please at least have some kind of resolution strategy that I can look at to say, okay, we can implement that to try and make that issue go away. But if you come at me with an issue and you just go, this is shit, and I ask you why, and you say, this is why, well, what should we do about it? I don't know. Well, then you're not going to get very far. So that's why it's taken me time to bring these stories up, because I think the right time is now with the issues, ideas that I have to try and help other police members with what I went through, is the time is right. At the same time as raising awareness of mental health, which is a friggin' massive stigma. Look at that. We got that done at the same time.
I'm glad I came across this channel and seeing that my mental health and not following my family, but it helped me. And I thank you. Thank you, mate.
No, thank you. I mean, look, it's not the right place to do it right now. This is a hobby channel, but I'm definitely going to be starting up something that is permanent. Definitely permanent, because stuff it. I've sat on my hands long enough. So my venture out of the police force, literally, this was during COVID, the end of COVID. We're all getting our friggin' jabs. I'm not going to get into that, but anyways, we're all getting our jabs. And the only contact I was made for the year that I was asking for help, and I was off for a year, I never saw a police officer. No one ever came to the house to check on me. The only phone call I really got was, can you make sure you get your third jab? And this is all documented. This is how disgusting it is. Can you make sure you get your third jab before you return to work? Otherwise, you can't come back. And the last phone call I think I got was to make sure that I've handed in all my items. And I wasn't leaving yet. I was off sick, very ill. I'll use the S word, but I'm not going to use it on social media because you know what I'm trying to say. I was very sick. And that's the help I got. That's all I got, to the point where, I was in a hospital with stomach issues. One thing I did learn from mental health is a lot of the issues that I had physically, health-wise, so not just mental, came from mental instability. So I had a lot of stomach issues, which I want to touch on that as well, because I know a lot of people who struggle with mental have other issues, and I can almost guarantee you it's directly with your head-gut connection. And that's one thing I've been dealing with and getting better at over the last 2 years. And I was hospitalized numerous times over my stomach, bowel movements, what was coming out of me. I thought I was dying because there was stuff that was happening with inside my body that I was, fit, healthy young man at the time, young. But my body was shutting down because of my mental instability. And your gut-mind health is very real. It's very real. If that's not right, your gut is all over the place. So that's the first thing I started working on, because that was putting me in hospital. I was losing weight. There was a lot of issues that I thought that I had that I didn't. some of the big, health scares that you get in life that I thought I was getting, but it wasn't. It was all mental health. It was all my stomach wasn't happy with my body, and my mind was playing tricks on me. So along with that, along with dealing with the stomach issues, not getting support from either the police force or the insurance companies that are involved, and just being left to sort of fend on your own. High and dry, I guess you can left that on my own. Hence why I moved to Europe, because I was like, if I'm going to do this by myself, I might as well have family members around me. So when I do struggle, my family's well connected. And that isn't what people should go through. If you've asked for help, and I would say I was one of the brave ones in police force that actually said I need help. A lot of people didn't believe it at the start because I was an officer that you would not think would fall over. I still get those messages today. I can't believe you went off sick, slash care visits. I'm not anymore, and I would say use that every month. Go and see a psychiatrist, or go and see a person that you believe can help you, and just unload some of your issues. Unload that bucket, unfill that bucket. And that's one thing I taught my members when I was still fit and able to tell them is, don't let your bucket fill up, because once it's full and overflows, like what happened to me, it's game over for a bit. You're out of action. You can't help anybody. So get that 1 month mental massage, 12 a month, whether it's a big or small issue, get it off your chest. Just 2 seconds. All right, so I just got a message. You are muted again. Am I muted again? All right, I'm taking this off. What have we got on here? Just joined. Yes. So, definitely get a mental health massage once a month. That's probably the first thing you can do for starters. And that's something that I don't believe is still implemented in the police force in Australia. In Melbourne, I don't believe that they are requesting members to get help. And just to break down what they see daily or regularly, I could see numerous bodies weekly. I mean, it's not to talk about what police officers see. You'd be very surprised. Regularly, and that's something that they need to implement straight away. And that's one thing. One reason I'm doing this is to raise awareness around that. We need to make a bit of a change where getting help isn't a stigma. So let me quickly just put this together while we're talking. Well, that's got to dry. I'm going to leave that aside for a second. And I'm going to bring this in. So if I'm rambling on now, because I know we've spoken about it a lot, and I don't want to go over the same things. And once I get into this, I get a little bit flustered, but we will get better at talking about it. This is only a new initiative I've started where I want to talk about this stuff.
Let's not forget mental health of spouses and offspring of officers. It's an issue with some of us lost our partners post-vid. You
muted again, apologize. And that's actually a really good message. We're building signs. At the moment, it's just building signs for the sake of them, but I do want to build a coffee table that is sunken in with like a little diorama racetrack. So that's my goal, is to get all of these 1/64 scale. These are all 1/64, so Hot Wheels scale, into a coffee table and have some kind of racetrack lit up, and you can close the lid on top. So that's the goal at the end, but at the moment it's a good little side gig to do this whilst we are talking about mental health, and you don't just have to stare at me doing this. You can sort of watch me doing something else whilst I ramble on and other people get involved, which I hope they do. Quick drink. So someone raised a really good comment there. Let's not forget about the mental health of spouses. So again, I'm going to use me as a personal reference here, because that's the whole point of it, to reference what I've been through, and hopefully it helps you talk about your story. I've got to give my wife some credit. She first saw that I was struggling. So my wife knew I was struggling before I did. It all feels normal to the person who is struggling. And I will get into the spouse's PTSD / mental health as well, because it's definitely a real thing. And I think I know whilst I was struggling, I was dropping the ball family-wise, which then added extra pressure onto my wife to pick up the pieces that I was dropping unwillingly. I didn't know I was dropping the pieces, if that makes sense. I didn't know I was dropping the ball and not pulling my weight or doing something different than I normally would. Now, I didn't tell her much about what I did in the police force. There's a lot of stuff that she doesn't know about, and I did that personally because I didn't want her to go through the same grief that I had to go through with what I was dealing with. I mean, the bodies, the jobs, the stuff that I was seeing, I did not have to share that with her. So there's some stuff that I kept her shielded from. Some I did share with. If I was really bad, she'll say, what's going on? Talk to me. And I'd say, in brief, I saw this, and this today. Not too much detail, but, I just need a breather. But I think the added pressure on her, and women, I'm going to say this now, and I'm not trying to get any extra views for this, women are a lot stronger, in my opinion, mentally than men. I mean, you guys have to push out a baby. I don't think we could do that. We would complain. Men would complain too much if we had to push out a baby. So the mental strength on a woman, in my opinion, outweighs the mental strength that I have. In some circumstances. In a lot of circumstances, I think men might deal with stuff better. But on a whole, I think women have, in my opinion, a very strong mindset on what they can deal with more than us. Now, I'm not saying that they don't struggle, because of course they do. But in my circumstances, my wife was really holding a strong fort, and that just showed to me, and my mother, I've got to use my mother here, very strong-minded women. I mean, some of the stuff that I was struggling with, I know she wouldn't. So you play your cards to your advantage, and that's why I didn't share some of the stuff with her that I was going through, because it might have affected her more than it affected me, or vice versa, but I didn't have to share that. But she was very strong, still is very strong. But I have to say, it does, the spouse mental health, when you're dealing with someone like myself who has PTSD, it took the toll on her as well, because not only do you have a child to look after, you've now got a husband who she can clearly see isn't right, and that's all that part of the world's falling apart. I'm not recognizing that I'm sick. I'm okay. I can keep pushing, and I think internally that just made it a lot harder for her to, I guess, wake up daily to go, is everything going to be okay today? And that is very sad to bring up, but we do forget about that. And I do think, what was her name? Was it Tilo? Sia. Yeah, Sia. Awesome. That is definitely. Can we see the dog, please? Charlie. Hello. There she is. Hello, Charlie girl. Hello, Charlie girl. Hello. Yes, yes, yes. And yeah, that's definitely something we don't think about. I mean, and you don't think about that when you're going through it yourself. You definitely don't, because why would you? You're already struggling with your own things. But yeah, secondary mental health, even though they haven't experienced what you've experienced, I think the mental health of what you're going through and the effect it's having on their life is definitely a real thing. And I completely forgot about that to even raise that awareness. But I will say, a lot of the times I went to get help, that was raised in its own. Your wife can get, or your son or your brother or whatever can get the same help that you're getting, because there may be a flow-on effect. So it was definitely raised when I was getting help off my own accord, to be honest. So it is definitely recognised. It's just I think we don't celebrate that part of it more and say, hey, do you know that they might be struggling as well? So let me just get all this out. And talking about dogs, so that's a good little segue. So I haven't really given any insight to what I deal with it daily. I have sort of given an insight of where I've come from. I'm just rambling a bit now because again I get a bit flustered when I get into it because I think I mentioned before I have like a Rolodex that goes through my head of what I'm trying to say, and that Rolodex is a lot of the stuff that I've been to, and I'm trying to stop it so I can then talk about it at the same time to give advice around why I was going through this. But secondary, it'll just move on to something else. So I am trying to control that better, to slow down my thought process, because once my Rolodex starts spinning, it's very hard to stop it. And I guess that's a big part of mental health. A lot of people with mental health, including myself, so the PTSD side of it, you're very hyperactive. Your mind doesn't stop. It keeps cycling, and it can get very, very overwhelming. Very overwhelming. So let's get these parts out. We are building a bigger kit at the moment. If you are joining, we are talking a little bit of mental health / hobbies, and trying to raise a little bit of awareness whilst we do some fun stuff. There's staircases. We won't get them out yet. Just going to get all the big pieces out. Now, this is a big 132, 124 garage, like a pit box. So I'm just going to punch that out and make sure. Hello. Making sure from Canada, the government offered claim forms but were turned down, lost everything. And that's, I think it's very universal. I am speaking on behalf of what I know. I'm from Australia, but I think it is very universal when it comes to mental health. I reckon a lot of countries get it right, but a lot get it wrong. You have to remember, it is a business. Once mental health plays a part in a person financially, it becomes a business, because that's when insurance gets involved. And if we all know about insurance and businesses, once money gets involved, the best thing, and I'm going through this right now, hence why I'm starting to do this, because I've had enough. Once the business starts paying money, so insurance company, they want you off the books as quick as they can. So the duty of care goes out the window, and it's how do we get this guy off the books, because he's now costing us a fortune. Secondly, the disproof then comes in. How do we make sure that this guy or girl isn't mentally challenged or whatever it may be, and we need to get them off our books ASAP. And I'm actually going through that right now. That's the reason I'm starting to do this, because I've had enough, and I think it's managed poorly, and you're still managed as an employee, I guess, because you're getting paid by somebody else, or the services that you require are being paid by somebody else. It's not coming out of your pocket, which, to be honest, I haven't had any of that services. I refuse to use it, because I know this kind of stuff, unfortunately, comes back around in circles, and sometimes it goes against you. So that's why I've started talking about this, because it is definitely a business. It's not treated as a condition. It's treated as, how do we get this person away from our books, because they're costing us money? How do we move this person on to another industry or whatever, to then move the problem, which is not good. But that's Australia. I can't talk on behalf of other countries, because I've never dealt with mental health in other countries, professionally, I guess you could say. There's a lot of wood for this one. We are building looks like it's a double story pit box. It's like car circuits. Do you have a channel to watch the process? What do you mean by that? Throw? I'm back from painting the interior walls. Hello, mate. Welcome back. What do you mean by that, Throw? We are building some signs, and we're also building at the moment a 124, 132 scale pit building. So once that's finished, I'll build this on numerous lives, because it's going to take a while. But it's all wood stuff. Here we've got a 164 scale sign gantry. This is a 3-poster. You can put this around your Hot Wheels track, or if you've got a slot car track, this can go around it. So let me just put that together. It's all made out of some beautifully laser cut wood. And there you go. You've got yourself a 3-sided billboard. We've also built on stream today, we've built the camel. We have built the camel little 164. Ooh, that's a bit top heavy. Have I done it the wrong way around? No, I haven't. The camel logo, again, 164 scale. So if you're into Hot Wheels or DIECAST cars or whatever. And we've also built the Mogra. Now you should paint these beforehand. I don't on the stream because I want to get these built on stream, but you should really paint these as you go. All made out of laser cut wood. Really cool stuff. We've built a fair few. If you haven't followed me on YouTube, jump over there because over the last week and a half, we've been building a lot of kits. So I do recommend go over there, check them out because we've built a lot. Hello, Charlie Girl. As Charlie Girl wants to come up. Hello. Hello, sweetheart. Yes. Hello. Yes, we are building again. She's starving for my attention, aren't you, sweetheart? Aren't you? Yes, you are. So another 2 minutes, guys, and I've got to bounce because I've got to pick up my son from school. But here is what we are going to be building probably next stream. I will leave this for the next stream. That is going to turn into one of these. So I'll show TikTok quickly. It's going to turn into one of these double-story 124 scale pit boxes. And for YouTube, you guys can check that out as well. There's a couple of comments on YouTube. Have a quick look. Do you have a circuit? I would also love a time-lapse video of your creations. My girlfriend was taken for supervised care 7 months ago. Insurance kept denying what. Yeah, she's a beautiful puppy. Look, the business side of it, I that's what I'm trying to change because once you go through the mental health process, which I'm still going through that now, 2 years later, for support, it becomes a business. It really, really does. A lot of the care goes out the window. One of the reasons for me starting to talk about this, I'm at the point now where the insurance company I've been dealing with over the last couple of years, done everything they wanted me to do, are now ghosting my emails and are not listening to, literally ghosting my emails or taking weeks and weeks to respond just for basic things. And now I'm challenging them because I don't believe their duty of care is right. So after going through all of that, plus how I was dealt with in the police force on the way out, which I should never have left, I will keep saying that. I should never have left. I should have been helped. But I felt forced. Well, I had no choice, to be honest. I had to leave because otherwise I wouldn't be here today. That has to change. And that's why I'm going to start talking about it. Someone just said, can I have... it is 11:40 a.m. here in Austria. For those that are watching, I am Australian, but I'm here in Austria. So that's all the pieces that I'm going to need for... yes, I have a channel. Next will be about the service station. But awesome, B-Rads. Awesome. Yeah, I haven't been doing much on YouTube. Since the hacking, unfortunately, I haven't got much confidence in my channel anymore. I actually had another message last night from YouTube saying that someone was trying to log in from America. So, yeah, the whole saga of me being hacked hasn't stopped, to be honest, on YouTube. I haven't done a video about it yet because I don't believe that they're out of my channel. I still think they're still there because I'm still getting notifications from YouTube saying someone's trying to log in. So watch your channel, guys. Make sure everything's locked away. So there we go. I want to say a big thank you. Thanks for the follow, Grubs Toys. I appreciate it. YouTube, thank you for watching, guys. I know it was a bit of a different video. We've built some stuff today. We've had a bit of a chat about mental health. For those that are interested, I probably will start a second socials up about mental health. I think I need to get more into that. I will be more prepared with another chat. I think having some topics to talk about and getting some stuff done about mental health is a lot better than rambling on. And I do invite people to jump in and join in. If you do want to join the streams, definitely easy on TikTok, because on TikTok you guys can jump in by just literally jumping in, vocal or not, or video or not. But it's about time we start chatting about it. So those that did watch today, it is definitely different to my normal content. We did build some stuff. I will probably keep building stuff whilst I'm talking about mental health because it does, firstly, keep me busy, keeps me a bit on track, and it gives you guys something to watch whilst I'm rambling on. And hopefully, if you have watched today, it's helped in some kind of way. It's the first of many streams I'll be doing like this. And I think, 2026 will be when I push very hard to make a change properly, not just because of social media, but in general. I've had enough of all of the mental health policies and direction it's taking in Australia. And being that I'm going through it now, Let's take them head on. Let's take them head on. So everyone, have a great day. Thanks, guys and girls, for tuning in. We will have normal streams. Trust me. Yeah, today was a bit different. Those on TikTok, hello, mates. Thanks for joining. I set up a 2-part identity thing. Oh yeah, do that. I'm sorry, happy I stumbled. Oh, thank you, mate. I appreciate it. Hey, Slocker House. Hello, mates. We're about to wrap this one up. What are you doing up so early? Yes, I have a channel. Glad you are doing this and glad to be here. Cheers, man. I appreciate it, guys. YouTube, be safe. Take care. I'll see you guys in another stream.